So this is Monochrome Mobius, Rights and Wrongs Forgotten. It's on PS4, PS5 and Steam. Actually, the Windows version was the only one released last year outside of Japan. I don't know why it took NIS America almost an entire year to localize it for PlayStation consoles. Anyway, despite having a different name, this is a mainline title from the Utawarerumono series. It takes place before the events of Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth, which are visual novel strategy RPGs I've covered before this year many times. Monochrome is not one of those. It's a traditional style turn-based RPG with tons of exploration, but we'll get to that in a bit. Before I tell you what this game's about, please note that it isn't necessary to play any other game in the series first. It's okay to start with this one. It's recommended to play the others first, just to be more acquainted with the characters and understand a bunch of references though, especially about the lore and the world itself. But like I said, it's not indispensable, so Monochrome is a good place to start. The story follows Ashtor before he becomes the Mikado's right hand. Shunya and Ashtor's father run away from some guards, but only Shunya manages to escape into the outside world. That's where she meets Ashtor, claiming his father is also hers. She also claims he's in danger, so Ashtor, believing all these years that his father was dead, joins up with her to look up for him and save him. Now, Ashtor isn't the only character getting a full developed prequel for him. We also got two more important characters from Mask of Deception and Truth, like Munechika and Mikazuchi. As a matter of fact, these three and Shunya are the only four playable characters in the entire game. But since this is a prequel, let me remind you that you don't need to play the Utawarerumono games to get into this game, but it is advised to do so. Despite having some small fan service and comedy involved, the narrative is pretty good here, but there's a big problem. NIS America often takes a lot of liberties with their translations, and this game is no exception. The game has no English dub, it's all in Japanese with English subs. On a regular basis, even if you don't know Japanese, you can hear the actor saying something that clearly doesn't match the dialogue written. I freaking hate when companies do this. Even if it isn't out of context, adding entire sentences to just one word mentioned or a simple expression is really annoying. People aren't stupid, NIS America. Just because we don't know or understand Japanese doesn't mean we won't realize you are changing the dialogue and the translation for no damn reason. Jesus, but anyway, that's my rant. Thankfully though, it doesn't hurt the story that much. It still has a really solid script and it shows throughout its development. Actually, the narrative adapts perfectly to its traditional gameplay mechanics. It's one of those games that reminds me of the PS1 and PS2 era, with that feeling of adventure. You go out into the world, controlling whoever you want, with visible enemies all around. It isn't an open world RPG, but there's a lot of exploration to be done within stunning graphics. Aqua Plus and Design Act, the developers, aren't known for being big budget studios, so it's impressive they managed to make the game look like this. It does have some small frame rate issues in certain areas and tons of loading screens for the PS4 version, but it's okay. No resolution issues. If you see some in this review, it's because of the 720p HD format I captured the gameplay footage in. Music is alright. I liked it and there are some memorable themes, but I prefer the soundtrack in the Utawarerumono series way more. So the gameplay will revolve around sending you to explore different areas and ruins, visiting some towns in between. Puzzles are there to solve, but the majority of them are quite easy and actually entertaining. But they're mostly the usual go there to activate this switch to open the passage to this door, you know, stuff like that. There's one main town in the game, which is the Imperial capital, where most of the story will unfold. You have your shops and your side quests in any town you visit, sure, but some side quests are exclusive to the capital. Exclusive to the capital is also the blacksmith store, where you can invest materials to increase its rank, meaning better equipment for sale, or fortify it if you've unlocked it and have enough money. Trust me, you'll be spending a lot of time here, cause this game is freaking hard. It's one of those that starts off extremely easy and then goes on to stupidly hard. I usually complain about those, but there's an easy way to break this one. Let me explain. Once you are on a certain level, you'll be able to just instantly kill the monsters in the fields or ruins without getting into a battle. This is extremely useful because you get the same amount of experience, money, and materials that way. Experience though is shared amongst the party, which is also one of the reasons why this game's so hard. But just go back to some areas from one chapter ago and make your way through the dungeons, just killing everything. You'll be over leveled in no time. There's no easy mode here, only normal and hard, but this method can be easily applied to both, reducing your grinding time considerably. It's a lot of fun. But I still am kinda resentful that they felt the need to make their game this unbalanced. Anyway, let's talk about the combat. It's played in classic turns, but with a twist. First, the turn order is affected by how both you and your enemies perform. If someone staggers someone, they'll be vulnerable. Hitting them will move the attacker up in the action ring. Those circles you see in the upper left corner, that means their turn will come up faster. The enemies stagger you quite often, especially bosses, which is one of the biggest reasons also why this game is so challenging. They can gang up on you several times and destroy you in just a few turns, especially since a lot of attacks, including yours, so you can abuse these too, have a knockback effect, knocking your character icon back so their turn is delayed. Obviously, this battle system is very influenced by the one seen in the Grandia series. The only way to stagger enemies is by constantly dealing damage to them or perform a critical attack, but unlike in Grandia, you don't have an option to execute one, it's just a matter of being lucky to get one. The point is, if you hit a staggered enemy, you'll ascend in the action ring and your turn will come faster, but the enemy can do the same to you. Now, there's also the seal. Every time one of your characters attacks or gets hit, their seal bar increases. Once it's full, they get a boost in their stats and can ascend in the action ring so their turn comes faster and eventually also get a special attack that consumes the whole bar. In reality, this combat isn't that original per se, but it makes battles really fun, more strategic and more challenging. Finally, let's talk about that little pink creature you've been seeing so far. That's Halu, a character that can transform into a giant machine during battle. He needs action points to do that, points that you get the more your characters act. Once it's full, you can select him from the menu and he'll battle solo. He can only attack, not guard, or escape, or heal. He does have an HP bar though, but his attacks cost action points. Once he's defeated, or once you've used all those points, he'll disappear, but can be resummoned once again in the same battle. It is highly advised to use this guy for boss battles since he takes a big chunk of HP out of them with most of his attacks. Every time you level up in this game, everyone except Halo gets B points. These you can use to increase certain stats, even though they also increase after leveling up. As for Halo, there's a shop only available in the Imperial City just for him. As the game progresses, he'll unlock several battle but also passive abilities that have many different uses. To activate them though, you'll need different materials required. To train him, you also need materials. These are used to increase the power of his abilities, his HP, and to level him up. So yeah, this is yet another modern JRPG that relies more on gathering materials from places or enemies than on simple grinding. Side quests give you materials as well as a reward, but some might give you a lot of money and experience too. Even if they're dumb-ass fetch quests, I strongly advise doing a bunch of them at least during the first several hours of the game. Regardless, you'll be surprised to know that I did almost every single side quest in this game. It isn't a masterpiece, it does have its problems like I mentioned. Apart from its difficulty, there isn't anything that frustrating. Besides, the method I used for grinding that I told you about makes that difficulty go away. It's not a long game either, it took me around 38 hours to beat on normal mode, including doing most of the side quests. I strongly recommend this game, even if you don't care for the rest of the series. I know visual novels and/or strategy RPGs aren't for everyone, so like I said, it's okay to start with this title. It's easy to get into, with a very well-written story, great combat and addictive gameplay mechanics. Definitely a must-play. And that is my review of Monochrome Mobius on the PlayStation 4, also on PS5 and Windows. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!